Hey everyone, how's it going? So this is the deck that I'm using on Baron Rivendare to try and push levels in the current PvE dungeon, which is Deadmines. Baron, in terms of talent, I think Chill of the Grave is the best talent. I think Skeleton Mages are just far more useful than anything else. Obviously, there are niche cases where the consume the skeleton to gain some health works quite well. I think the Bloodlust skeletons, though, is kind of meh. You have to kind of build a whole deck around it, and skeletons are really vulnerable to a whole host of AoE things. So I think Chill of the Grave is just the best all-round talent. I am absolutely, and most people probably will say, obsessed with this unit to a fault. But Cult of the Damned Necromancer is such a strong defensive unit, and I feel like I can't not include it because it's also one of my highest level units. So that's why I'm including it. But I think it's probably could switch that. If I was going to switch that out, I'd maybe switch it out for Gargoyle, or I probably would switch it out for Meatwagon, for instance. Like, it's going to be Gargoyle or Meatwagon. Those are the two that I'd switch it out for. 2-cost Cycle Tank. Really like him. He's got the armored talent. Safe Pilot with Gnomish Cloaking Device. Basically one of the best units with the best talents in the game. Same as Blackrock Whelpegs with the Flame Burst talent. Those two are pivotal for beating bosses that are higher level than you, because a lot of the time what you'll find in situations where you're trying to beat PvE levels higher than you just need to find some cheesy tactics to win. And one of the cheesy tactics to win is Flame Burst Whelpegs on the boss or on large groups of enemies, and Safe Pilot with Gnomish Cloaking Device. It's either large groups of enemies or onto the boss. You just need to cheese it sometimes. They are the two of the most cheesy units in the game. There's Blizzard, which I just love as a control spell. And I used to run Huntress here, but it's a little bit too expensive. So I dropped down to Harpies with the Minor trait just to give me a bit of utility in the deck. One of the things that I have found in this particular dungeon is that a lot of the gold is split up, and it's quite an area where your kobold can be quite vulnerable. So having another unit that can mine and can actually consistently increase your gold income does really help. So we're going to try and beat level 20. It's slightly harder than my deck. Not as impressive as going up 2 levels versus my Blackrock one with Ren Blackhand, but I will try and push this as hard as I can get it. Now, we've got Unstable Concoction, Aegis of Bone, and then Gauntlet of Determination. Well, Gauntlet of Determination is the only one that makes sense here. Unstable Concoction is quite good, especially with a lot of squad units, but Aegis of Bone is kind of meh because we already have quite a lot of armored units in the deck, so it doesn't really make sense to kind of pick this. And Gauntlets of Determination works for Baron because he's a relatively cheap leader, 4, so he's about in the middle. So you can deploy Baron numerous times, and I don't have that many expensive units in my deck. 4 is the most expensive unit in my deck, so we're going to go for Gauntlets of Determination. Mr Smite. Now this is a particular level that doesn't have like a really obvious tactic. The gimmick with Mr Smite is like everything is stealth. This is where things like Whelpegs and Safe Pilot come into use. One of the things that you have to be aware of is he sends a Stonehoof Tauren down this pipe, so you can't actually attack it unless you're able to get some sort of flying units near it, but obviously it's in stealth as well. And the Stonehoof Tauren will come to your base and just attack it. So you just need to be aware that on this left channel over here, you're going to need to have some kind of defensive setup or some way to defend against a Stonehoof Tauren. Otherwise, the main route of attack is always going to be controlling the gold mine area here, and also trying to get control of this meeting stone on the right-hand side for easy deployment towards the boss. If you can get control of this meeting stone, it's okay, but I wouldn't spend a load of resources trying to defend and occupy this meeting stone, because it's much more useful to have control of this side of the map versus this boss. Right, so we wait a second to see where he deploys some stuff. He's going to deploy a Mountaineer over here. Fine. Okay, so I'm going to Whelpegs right now because he's dropped quite a lot of stuff, and I don't want the Mountaineer to go to town on my Necromancer. And there we go, my Necromancer is off to a good start. Money. There's the Stonehoof Tauren. So I'm going to drop Safe Pilot onto these. I'm probably now going to drop Harpies. And we've got a good opportunity to just get a good Blizzard off here, so I'm going to do that. The Harpies are now going to generate me a load of gold, and I'm going to drop a Baron straight away in this scenario here. I will now drop my 2 costs to defend against the Stonehoof Tauren. Money. I'm going to put some more Whelpegs down here, just to sort of be a bit of a nuisance. There we go. Causing a lot of problems. going to drop a safe pilot behind him. Alright, that was really easy. So, yeah, control the right-hand side. Just be prepared to defend something on the left-hand side. But ultimately, I think that was good. And we cheesed it with the well pegs over and over again. Like, well pegs are just great for cheesing these situations. Now comes the harder boss. So, Gauntlet's really big candle, chromatic shroud, white hair moccasins. Prefer really big candle, just because it makes my kobold more of a useful unit. Can kind of push towers by himself. Just generally, I think makes kobold quite nice. So, gonna go with really big candle for the time being. If I get really big candle on the first sort of it's not talent. I don't know what we calling those things again. They're like perks. If I get really big candle on the first perk option, I always go for it. Second perk options often is a little less strong, but still pretty good. We're going Cookie's quite easy. You just need to have some kind of AoE to deal with the massive groups of units that he spawns. And once you deal with those, like Blizzard, well pegs, safe pilot, living bomb, explosive sheep, anything like that, and you can very, very easily and comfortably deal with Cookie. He's not that hard after that point. It's just those big groups of minions that he spawns can be sometimes difficult. So I'm going to drop him over this side, and I'll drop this here. What I'm going to do straight away is just try and kill off as many of the ranged units as possible here, which I have done. I'm going to drop Baron, go this way. And I'm going to wait, now I'm going to go. That. Here. It's a bit annoying that the Huntress didn't die there, but it is what it is. We still took control of these two areas. Now I'm going to do this again. I'm going to drop whelp eggs right in the middle for the flame burst. That was a really, really successful flame burst. Again, one of the main reasons that I like that is because yeah, one of the main reasons I like flame burst is because it can just do that to big group scenarios, and that basically dealt with that entire push. So that's nice. Drop a kobold here. The wolf just took me out. Probably going to just drop the harpies. And then I'll try and get this guy to go this way. One harpy goes that way. Okay. Now there's going to be a load of stuff spawning on the top left over here in just a moment, but we've pushed quite nicely. Probably just going to drop two things at once here. I just want this to become less of a problem, and that basically deals with that entire push by itself, which is quite nice. So yeah, they don't have anything really left other than the Stonehoof Tauren to go. Drop another Baron over this side. I'll drop that there. Now I need to start trying to deal with the need to get these two chests again. Has to be a ground unit, so I'll use this. Right, I'm just going to cheese it a little bit now. Use safe pilot and well pegs, and we should win the day. Yep. Using this tactic, I could probably quite easily complete Baron, and get a full golden Baron deck. It feels like this is a pretty good deck to do that with. I'm just showing you, like, some of my units are higher and some of my units are lower than level 20, which is why it's kind of coming out as orange. I'm probably going to go rich purple silk shirt. It just affects the most of my minis and seems the most useful in this scenario. Now this is quite a difficult level. Okay, with Sneed, it's quite difficult because you just need to time things really well on Sneed. Now, this area here copies the first ground unit, and well pegs don't count as a ground unit, just so you're aware. So it copies the first ground unit that runs over it. I've tried to drop well pegs on top of it, and it doesn't work, but safe pilot would. And what you're going to do is you're going to try, and with Baron it's a little easier because skeletons usually just walk over it, and then the skeletons get copied. So if you can get skeletons to walk over the copier, that's brilliant, because basically you sort of mostly guarantee that he's going to copy skeletons. But there are scenarios in this level where he times it so that like a molten giant walks over it, and then he gets molten giant spawns. You need to do everything you can to stop the molten giant getting copied, because that just becomes absolutely monstrous at that point. The general tactic is you need to control this left-hand lane and eventually try and take this tower. So you want to try and first take this tower. This gets you control of the bridge area, which then allows you to control this copy area, which is mostly where the threats that he copies go to. And then you want to try and take control of this area, and that basically grants you control of this gold mine and that gold mine. And then from that point onwards, it's just about ensuring that you don't copy anything good. You copy crap units or squad units and then deal with them appropriately. So I'm going to drop this here. I'll drop this here. Drop a Baron down. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a safe pilot on both heads. Deal with them all. That should now give us a very easy push. I think that my Cobalt Miner is now going to get copied. Now what I need to do is to ensure that the next copy is going to be another Cobalt Miner. I'll do that now. Another Baron this side. Ah, this is a problem. He does this a lot. He drops a safe pilot. No, so I'm going to drop these eggs to try and distract the molten giants that copies my friggin' miner, and this is almost went horrifically wrong, but we just about got away with it. And then I should be able to drop this guy over here. I'm going to drop my cobalt just to take that chest, and yeah, going to deal with them. And now we're in a pretty good spot. Now we just kind of want to send stuff this way as much as we can. I'm going to copy a skeleton, which is fantastic. This skeleton is very easy to deal with. This is the benefit of having Baron on this level. You can often guarantee that you're going to copy a skeleton more than anything else. I'm not going to. That's literally the worst thing, safe palette in the world, but it paid off. Now we're just going to cheese the boss with Flame Burst, and easy. All about timing. It's all about timing and following the correct tactics on Sneed. And that's given me level 20 completed now on my PvE dungeon. Gonna go for level 22. We'll let you know this week if I get it. But I just wanted to show you the tactics. And that was about, well, my deck average level is 19 point something. So that was a little higher. Not 2 levels, but just a little higher than 1 level. Obviously, some of my units were higher than 20. Some of my units were below 20. Some of my units were 20 on the dot. But that is the general tactics on how to approach... what the hell is this place called? Deadmines. This is how to approach Deadmines, and the tactics that I use to ensure that I'm kind of getting past those tricky PvE bosses. So hopefully it helps you. Feel free to use this deck. It works quite well for me. Low cost Baron decks are always nice, especially with something like Gauntlets of Determination. So it worked well. Enjoy. Give it a go. See you soon.